when I sat down to plot out exactly what I would share tonight, I thought about all the different interpretations of what home means or what home could mean to other people. And I thought about the countless apartments I've lived in over the years, including a 12-year stretch where I moved every year. I had some great roommates and some terrible roommates, and I'm sure I was a great roommate and a terrible roommate. I even spent a summer squatting in a warehouse that's not far from here, but that's a story for another time. Well, I had the best intentions to avoid hitting the topic of home directly on the nose. It's exactly where I landed. Maybe it's a coming-of-age thing, but the older I get, the more nostalgic I get for the home I grew up in, about 30 minutes from here in the community of Gary. Our house grew much the same way our family did. It started off as a tiny square on a 1-acre lot. My parents bought it from my grandfather after they got married. A living room, 2 small bedrooms, a bathroom, and a kitchen. All you need, really. At least all you need when you're a young married couple with 1 child. Things got a little cramped when I came along a few years later. So Dad built a new living room in the back of the house with large, tall windows that looked out into the backyard. My mom and Dad adopted the original living room as their new bedroom. My older sister took their bedroom, and I moved into the small second bedroom. All you need, really. At least all you need when you're a married couple with 2 children. Things got a little more cramped when my younger sister came along a few years later. As in previous years, another shuffle was in order. So my mom and dad moved back into their original bedroom. My older sister and I moved into the original living room. And my younger sister, Sarah, moved into the small second bedroom. All you need, really. Yeah, at least all you need when you're a 30-something married couple with 3 kids. Things got even more cramped when my younger brother, Aaron, came along. So Dad built a whole new living room, added on to the house on another side, and put even more windows in it than he did the first living room he built. As in previous years, another shuffle was in order. My mom and dad moved into the second living room that they built. My older sister and I stayed put in the first original living room, and my younger sister, Sarah, moved into my parents' original bedroom, if you're keeping score, and my new brother moved into the smaller second bedroom. All you need, really. All you need when you're a middle-aged married couple with 4 children. If you can believe it. We repeated this step one more time when my brother Mike was born. This period of the timeline gets a bit cloudy for me. I don't know if it's because I was a teenager or why, but I think my older sister had left for university at this point, which freed up some real estate in the house. And the last version I remember of our household map saw my parents still in the second living room that Dad built. Me and my parents, still in my parents' first bedroom. My 2 brothers now sharing the original living room. And my younger sister, Sarah, moved back into the smaller second bedroom. All you need, really, at least all you need when you're an upper middle-aged married couple with 5 children, which one of, thankfully, had moved out and far enough away that we only saw them on major holidays. Eventually, all of the kids would move out. My sister left to study music at Acadia University, and she's lived in Nova Scotia ever since. And I went second, moving in with some friends here in Fredericton when I was 19 or 20. My younger sister Sarah moved to BC to become a full-time hippie when she finished high school. And both my brothers moved out west and started families of their own. But when our house was at peak capacity, our family was more than 2 parents and 5 children. We had a barn and a pasture where we kept horses and goats and chickens. And over the years, we were home to about 50 cats and a handful of dogs. But they're all gone now, too. And with each new departure, it felt like our home shrunk a little bit more. When the horses and goats eventually died, the pasture was seeded and became a large garden. And the barn became a place where we stored wood that we would stack every summer for the winter months. The chicken coop became a tool shed, and both of these structures are now all but condemned. The roof on the barn caved in one particularly wet winter, and instead of repairing the whole thing, Mom and Dad just cut their losses and tore half the structure down. So now it's less than its original size and more than a bit sketchy inside. The chicken coop now sits at an awkward angle, and whenever I'm home, I think it's going to tip over with a strong wind. I imagine we'll tear both of these buildings down in the next few years, only furthering the decades-long downsizing that all of us have tried so many years to ignore. When you're a kid, it's impossible to grasp the idea that all you find familiar and all you take comfort in will eventually turn to dust. This really started to take hold in my mind about 10 years ago, and I wanted to know more about where my parents grew up before the time would come when I wouldn't be able to ask them those stories. One day, Dad and I took a drive to St. John, and I got him to show me the house he grew up in. We walked around the neighborhood, and he showed me the rocks near Martello Tower, where he and his friends used to play various war games, including Wolfe versus Montcalm. I also got to see where he went to his first day of school and the church that he attended with his family. I did a similar trip with Mom the next year, visiting the different houses and apartments she lived in Sussex. There's no real substitute for gaining this kind of context to your parents' childhoods. And I'm glad we made the time to take these road trips together. Today, my mom still lives in Gary. She still lives in the family home. And she's alone now. My dad died a few years ago. And with Dad gone, there's a bit more urgency to visit home these days. With each new visit home comes another reminder that my childhood is far behind me now. Both my grandparents, my mom's dad and my dad's mom, lived in Gary as well. And I pass their homes every time I go visit Mom. Other people live in those houses and have for years now, but I always make a point to look in when we drive by, and it always brings up memories. The gardens my grandparents grew, the visits we'd pay after church on Sundays for what seemed to last forever, and the moments those houses left our family to assume new roles for others. My first home away from home that actually felt like something I could actually call home was an apartment I shared with my wife before we got married. Once we realized that we were each other's ideal partners, aka fell in love, we found a place just on Charlotte Street, like 2 doors down from here, weirdly enough. The place had this huge front porch, and we would sit out there on Friday nights, and friends would just happen to walk by, and we'd invite them up, and they'd have a beer, and they'd tell us about their week, and then they'd leave. And we would joke that it was kind of like we had our own talk show, and we would be the hosts, and we would be like, "It's Friday night on Charlotte Street, ladies and gentlemen. Who will be? Here comes Eric. Eric, come on up and tell us about your week." And have a beer. "Goodbye, Eric. Who's next? Here comes Peter." And we, like clockwork, we did it every week for years until less and less friends started to come by. And they were all moving from their apartments downtown to homes in other places. So we bought our first home in Fredericton in 2016. And our son was born 2 years later. And I can only hope that our home provides him with as much comfort and love and Sunday nostalgia as the place where I spent my childhood. When he moves out, I hope he visits a lot. And I hope with each new visit, he's reminded of his parents and his friends and all the great memories that a house should have. It's actually kind of funny that I still call my childhood home my home because I moved out 32 years ago. And there was a stretch of time when I was trying to call it mom and dad's place or, mom's place. And I guess it'll always be my home until the day comes when I no longer have a reason to visit the house. Until the day comes when I no longer have a reason to go to Gary at all. And until the day comes when an entirely new family moves in and calls it their home. Thank you. I would like to invite Melissa to the stage. Melissa is our next speaker, and here she is.